Alright, YouTubers, unboxing video time. So this should be a new motherboard. There's two in here, so we'll do these one at a time. Whichever one's on top will be this video. And I can tell you they're both by AsRock. And they probably both say Phantom Gaming 4 in the title. Beyond that, I'll leave the rest as a surprise. And I think there's one other item in here that we desperately need here. And okay, H470 is going to be our first one that we're going to take a look at. So let's turn this around. Now, we've already done the AsRock Z490 Phantom Gaming 4, and I have the other one's going to be the B460, which we'll do later on today. But this supports 10th gen Intel CPUs, and most likely somewhere in the future it'll probably support Intel 11th gen, unless they change course. There you see the Core 10th gen there. And it also supports Intel Optane memory. So this will probably be very similar to the Z490. Eventually I will compare the three Phantom Gaming 4 ATX style motherboards that I have, so you can all see it. This will have the polychrome RGB, and I may or may not remember to call these out, but that's what you're looking for on the motherboard. Now, Wi-Fi wise, it does not have Wi-Fi built into the motherboard, but you can get the M.2 for it. These aren't cheap from what I saw. Should have decent LAN capabilities. M.2, so we'll take a look at those. And this has the Type-C USB on it, so that's good, as well as the USB 3.2 Gen, whatever that says. So let's go ahead and get into this. Of course, this is for LGA 1200, and really the difference between those of you that have 8th and 9th gen CPUs is 49 more sockets, plus electrical is a little bit different, electrical and mechanical. So here's the manual. They hide the disc in here. Looks like there might be a little sticker in here, folks, that I haven't noticed. So if you want to put your AsRock sticker on your motherboard, this of course is the driver disc, and it may also have the manual in it. So I like their manuals, at least the online one. This is such light print, it's kind of hard to see, but there's that. I/O shield, not a big fan of these. That's what you get with the cheaper motherboards though. Here's your SATA 3, and you see one has 2 straight ends, the other one has 1 straight in and 90. These always come in handy. So most of this stuff I'm not even going to open, because a lot of times I will resell these into a computer, or just resell it and try and keep it as new as possible, because on this channel we really can't afford to continually buy. So this is great. I do not believe the Z490 came with 3 screws for the M.2, so one probably for the Wi-Fi and 2 other M.2s. Now, to be honest with you, I don't even remember my Z490 having a second M.2 solid state capability, so it would be a surprise if this one has it. Now, of course, H470 is probably, in my opinion, the second best motherboard that you'll have from the 400 series. With the 300, it was in my opinion, it would be obviously Z390 at the top, and then probably the Z370, which not really that much difference between the two. And then the H370. And the rest of it is you know, up for argument. So what we'll do is we're going to zoom in on this and we're going to talk about everything. Now, I have not bothered to look at the manual, so we're going to go, we're going to do our best to call this stuff out. Before we start, let's see if there's anything on the back side. Sometimes you will get lucky and get another M.2 on the back, but not in this case, right? Full ATX motherboard, I haven't seen that yet. You will see it on mini ITX. So let's start in this corner. Now, time for me, I guess, to do a little teaching. From my experience with these 400 series motherboards, you're probably noticing the power supply. And you may or may not know how many of the 1x4s you actually need here. So you need to get a power supply that has at least 2x4, okay, to power this up. And you know, on a Z390 or Z490, you're going to be able to do extreme overclocking. What is really the point on this motherboard? And I would have to say the reason for this extra one is if you were to buy a i7 10700, maybe even the K1, if you're going to buy a K1, don't buy this motherboard, okay? The i9 10900, and I wouldn't say the rest of them. You have the ability to change your power limit, so it's going to come in 65 watts, and you'll have the ability to adjust that. Some people have said to unlimited. I have gone as high as 245, maybe 255 for the i7 10700. So you'll notice if you track that stat that your wattage, if you use like hardware info 64, you'll see that it does indeed use more wattage than the 65 watts. So I would say that's probably the only reason for that. Is it's possible that you can go well over the TDP of the CPU. All right, so let's move on. Oh, and looking at power supplies, so I have two EVGA 850 BQs. They have really the dual rail thing for CPU power, and that's kind of, you know, what you need, something like that. You're going to find that 750 is probably the lowest wattage of a power supply that you're going to find that has that dual rail thing. So most likely you're going to spend a ton of money to get a power supply that will basically do the 2x4 and the extra 1x4. All right, so let's start looking at stuff. And I'm gonna try and get this a little lower. And there's a good chance some stuff occasionally will go out of focus. And I'm also zooming in a little bit, getting a little lower so you guys can read the text. So this is one of our system fans. I don't see CPU in front of it. Usually the CPU fan is way over that way. In this case, AsRock does some weird things, so you've got to really keep an eye on it. Of course, this is you know, doesn't have quite as many features as you would expect on a nicer motherboard. A whole lot of space here to do other stuff with, and it's kind of wasted. HD audio is going to be here. Okay, here's one of your RGB lights. And some additional RGB stuff. USB 2.0, another 2.0. So this is obviously good if you buy a PCI Express expansion card. Wi-Fi, you'll need one of these as well as your case. And so two of those is good. Here is a USB 3.0, and there's going to be a second one of these, okay, in case I fail to call that out. So that's a good bonus if you have a nicer case that requires two of these, as I do back home in Virginia. Here's another system fan. You see the WP there for work pump, and of course you can use this as a regular system fan. And let's skip that guy. So over here we have our front panel connectors. So the first two pins in the front row are the HDD, then the next two are the reset switch. You got your power LED and then the power button there. This back row, this top one should be the speaker, so you'll have 4 pins for that. And I think the speaker, yeah, it's going right there. So SATA 3 connectors here. Another system fan header. So I think we're at least 3 of those. 4 SATA 3s here, and these are at 90 degrees, so that's nice. The cables will, basically, if you use the bottom one, slip right into a nice little hiding spot instead of these two where they come up and out unless you have the 90 degree. Okay, so here's a system fan header. Here's the other USB 3.0. Now, you're out shopping for power supplies, make sure you get 24-pin ATX style, okay? More RGB stuff here. Ddr4 Ram, okay? So this takes 288 pin, and most likely you do not need to buy anything better than 3000 megahertz. So for the RAM, depending on your CPU, you're either going to be limited to 2666 or 2933. So check to see which one which CPU you have and what it says. I have not figured out how to overclock RAM on this, so I'm not sure it can be done. If it can be, hey, please leave a note down below. So I honestly don't think that the Z490 had this, but you see dual CPU fans here. So this one seems to have a little better ability for cooling of the case. And this is good for those of you that buy the awesome Noctua fans that have, or the awesome Noctua CPU coolers that have dual fans. All right, so we're back over here. Eventually we'll do the audio video connectors. Here is your LGA 1200 socket, and I'll just open that up so you can take a peek. So there she is. 49 more pins than LGA 1151. And of course, it probably says on here, wait till you put the CPU in to remove the cover. All right, now we can get to the rest of the stuff that's in the center. So here is an M.2. This is probably the 2280. And it looks like, honestly, I don't know if this will unscrew and fit in there, but 2280 may be the only size that you can go with. Another system fan header. So we have 3 of the 1-inch PCI Express expansion cards, and that's one thing that I'm kind of disappointed with this, to be honest with you. That, yeah, it's nice that we have the ability to have 2 graphics cards, but these little dinky ones, this one, if it was the next size up, would be a lot better. So if I was going to ding anything on this one, I would ding that. Of course, your CMOS, and it's kind of funny. Occasionally people ask me, hey, does this have CMOS and where's it at? And I'll have to tell them in the video. But this will help you reset your BIOS if you screw something up. So there actually is a second M.2. So unlike the Z490, which I believe only had 1, this one has 2. Okay, and really, folks, that's I think that's going to do it. We have an additional connector here, and I have to check the the manual for. All right, so the manual is so light I can't even see it, and it doesn't look like it has an overall motherboard layout. To be honest with you, no. For a second I thought it was the Type C Charlie USB connector. You may be able to see some print around it. Doesn't look like there's really anything of use. So, hey, that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you got something out of it. Oh, we forgot something. That's not going to do it for this video. All right, so one thing I did miss on the Z490 was this, and we'll get to that in a second. But USB 2.0s, the old style PS2 connectors for keyboard and mouse, HDMI, DisplayPort. These are basically access holes. If you do get that M.2 Wi-Fi going, you'll need somewhere to run the antennas to. These are not threaded, so I'm not sure how you do that. I've never messed with that. Here is the Type C, and then a new gen USB 3.2, I believe it was, Ethernet, 2 USB 3.0s. So this is lacking a little in that aspect. And then you have your microphone, headphone, and line out over here on the right. So, all right, now that is going to do it for this video, folks. I hope you got something out of it. This cost $99. So when we look at the B460, that one's going to be $89.99. The Z490 was $159 or $149 now. I got it for $129, which was a pretty good deal. But yeah, hey, thanks for checking out the video. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.